The sun was just beginning to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold, as a young woman named Clara sat alone on the park bench. She had always loved this spot, where the rustling of the leaves offered a gentle symphony to her restless thoughts. Clara was at a crossroads in her life. She had spent the last 5 years building a small business, a cozy little bakery that had become her pride and joy. But things hadn't gone as planned. Rising costs, fierce competition, and a string of bad luck had driven her to the brink of bankruptcy. She clenched her fists, feeling the weight of defeat pressing down on her shoulders. Every time she thought she had things under control, another setback would knock her back. Her dreams of expanding her bakery, of making her mother proud, felt like a cruel joke. She closed her eyes and let out a long breath. Maybe it was time to let go. But as she sat there, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she remembered something her father used to say, "You're stronger than you think, Clara. You just need to find the courage to keep going." He had passed away when she was 16, but his words had always stuck with her. She pulled out her phone and opened the photo album, scrolling through pictures of the bakery. There was one photo she kept returning to, a simple image of the bakery's sign, "Sweet Rise," hanging above the entrance. It was a reminder of the dream she'd poured her heart into. She stared at it for a moment, then shut her phone and stood up. As she walked home, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that maybe she had been too quick to consider giving up. She thought about the early mornings spent kneading dough, the sweet smell of cinnamon rolls fresh out of the oven, the smiles of her customers as they took that first delicious bite. Those moments had meant everything to her. They were proof that her dream was worth fighting for. The next morning, Clara woke up before dawn, just as she always had. But instead of letting the familiar dread fill her heart, she decided to give it one more shot. She walked into the kitchen, put on her apron, and began to bake. As the bread rose and the sweet aroma filled the air, she felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. She knew it wouldn't be easy. There were still bills to pay, still so many obstacles in her way. But as she worked, she realized that what she had was more than just a bakery, it was a symbol of her resilience. She remembered her father's words and let them guide her hands as she shaped the dough and carefully placed it in the oven. By the time the bakery opened its doors that morning, Clara felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, confidence. She greeted her customers with a smile, and when one of them asked for her secret ingredient, she simply said, "A little faith, and a lot of love." Word began to spread. People who had once stopped coming returned, drawn in by the warmth of Clara's smile and the irresistible scent of fresh pastries. A food blogger who happened to be passing through town stumbled upon the bakery and shared her experience online, describing Clara's creations as a taste of home in every bite. Within days, Sweet Rise was buzzing with new customers. Clara worked tirelessly, but she didn't mind. Each loaf of bread she pulled from the oven, each cookie she carefully decorated, was a testament to her belief that she wasn't finished yet. Of course, there were still hard days. There were nights when she fell into bed exhausted, her hands aching and her mind racing with worries. But she never let those doubts take root again. She had faced the darkness, and in that darkness, she had found her light. One evening, after closing up shop, Clara sat on the same park bench where she had nearly given up. She pulled out her phone and looked at that image of her bakery sign again. This time, she didn't see it as a symbol of a failed dream. She saw it as a promise, to herself, to her father, to the little girl who used to dream of opening her own bakery one day. A stranger walking his dog stopped and nodded to her, and she smiled back. She realized then that it wasn't just about baking bread or making money. It was about the journey, about finding purpose in the struggle, and joy in the smallest moments. Clara knew that she wouldn't always have answers. There would be days when the future seemed uncertain, when she would have to rely on faith and determination alone. But she had learned something invaluable. Giving up was easy, but holding on, choosing to rise above the doubt and keep going, was what truly made her strong. And so she kept going, one day at a time, guided by the warmth of her passion and the quiet, unwavering strength that had always been within her.